Ascension Unfiltered, unfiltered truth, unlimited growth, ascending through every season. I am your host, Janika C. Is individuality dead? Because I am starting to feel like it. It's like the world at large is trying to get everyone to act the same, be the same, do all the same things. And I'm just like, what's going on? But before we get down into it, let's talk about how did we get here? Ooh, child, I'm gonna stick to my day job. But I feel like I have been wanting to create this podcast for over 7 years now. I have done everything, bought all the equipment, done all the works, and just never started it. But I feel like sometimes life has to take you through certain twists and turns throughout life. And for me, I feel like I had to be dragged, like literally dragged through the mud. I had to go through maybe one of the hardest seasons in my life to finally get to this place. And I'm talking healing, like deep healing, childhood healing, internal healing, behavioral healing, just so many different aspects of healing, seeing how it is that, just childhood on a whole, like how it shapes you. And I had to go through the whole rigmarole to finally get here. And I feel like maybe now I am brave enough to do this because I finally got rid of that fear that was like lodged in my butt. But no, seriously. So after having done all that internal work, I started to do some work on my fascia, right? And I found out that there was literally like a traumatic memory or a fear just like literally lodged right back there. And then after I was able to kind of, work that out with my little golf ball, all of a sudden I am brave enough to do this podcast. So maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm because the fear didn't lodge up around us all. So now we're brave and we're outside. But yeah, so for me, I wanted to be able to create, a podcast and a space where we could really get down into it, the healing, talk about the things that people are so afraid to talk about, get down into the truth, like real, raw, and unfiltered, touching on every single topic, you know what I'm saying, but at a deep, deep level. So that is really the mission behind this, just unlimited truth, unfiltered truth and unlimited growth, and truly navigating every season of life in the best way possible. So this whole topic now of, is individuality dead? This is how I got here. So I was trying to promote my little business on TikTok. So, I started my TikTok page, and I am starting to, post content and all these things. I'm gonna look, 85 people, 100 people, 200 people kind of watching the video, but I can't really get any followers and stuff. So now I start to kind of dive deeper into how can I get people to, watch my content and kind of, expand the business and do all these things. So every video that I saw, people were saying, you have to follow the trends. You have to use the trending songs. So any music that is currently trending, any trending videos. So if people are, walking around in heels and, this is how you make a video, you have to do what it is essentially that you don't want to do in order to get your content to pop or for it to become popular. And I'm just like, what? So you're telling me I am now going to have to become something completely different for people to see me, for me to be, accepted for something. And I'm just like, I am not doing that. Like, why should I have to do that? Why can't it be that what I have originally created be enough? And it's like, on a different level, I feel like that is the world at large. People are constantly conforming. People are putting on, different personality, different personas, and we adapt this online persona or this persona that is, out there in front of the world, but that's not who we are authentically behind the scene. And for me, it's like, how can we get back to that? How can we get back to being our most authentic selves? Because I have never been one that subscribed to the whole notion of, conforming. It's like, it's either you take me as I am or you don't take me. And I feel like even within that, maybe that's why it even took me a few years to even get to this point, because it's like I have to do it my way. I have to do it the authentic way. I have to do it, how it feels genuine to me. And I just wanted to maybe keep a part of myself for me, because I'm like, if I put it out there, how are people going to feel about it and all these things? But I was never going to put it out here if I can't be my most authentic self, because what is the point? What is the point? So no, I can't do that. So now I need to know if individuality is dead, or if it's just that people are afraid to be themselves, or is it just the system at large that is really kind of pushing, certain narratives on us. So they tell us when to be upset, they tell us the things to talk about, they tell us the things to do, they tell us how to dress, and just like, robots or machines, we just get in line because we don't want to be the person who is standing out, or the person who is just a little bit different, or just, showcasing something completely different. But at the end of the day, if you take a look at history, right? I personally feel like it's the people who were brave enough to be themselves that actually made like a huge change in the world. So before even a trend is somebody get caught up to like a trend, it was one person who dared to be just a little bit different that made that possible to happen. So then why are we shunning away from individuality? No, sir, we'll have to fix that. We'll have to fix that, because social media algorithms, the way for people to get attention and all these things, this has to be something where the system just set up like that, because there's no way. We need to be able to have independent thinking, critical thinking from just, or individual perspective, to be able to even evolve in life, or to be able to share certain things, or so we can all, come together and make something of that. But maybe that's just how I kind of, view the whole thing, because it cannot be a popularity versus authenticity kind of an ordeal. We need something better, because sometimes it is those, like a moment when somebody say, you know what, I am going to go and share my story. And from them sitting down and saying, I went through this, and a third, that individual story is no what is helping somebody else, because a person just probably sit down in their house and thinking that, I am the only person going through this, and I am the only person thinking that. Come to find out, everybody I think it, everybody I go through it, everybody I suffer, but then everybody on the outside is just pretending like everything is okay. So take, for example, right? The last 2 years of my life, I feel like in so many ways I have had to change, right? I have had to put in so much work to become a different version of myself, right? A more improved version of myself. And naturally for me, it's like when I'm going through, certain life changes and stuff, I like to be able to do that by myself, right? So I like to be able to, without the noise, without the distraction. And of course, sometimes these things are so painful, because for me, internally, it was very painful, right? It was very difficult. I feel like so many things in life and the seasons were just changing in a way that I just couldn't understand. So even seeing the world at large differently, I think people like to call it, a spiritual awakening, where you go through and everything just seems so pretentious. Everything just seems, like, bro, the system at large is controlling everybody, right? And so when you're going through that, and then they have this aspect of it where they like to call the dark night of the soul, where now you're facing your inner shadows and all these things. And may I tell us, listen, it's hard, it's rough, make you feel like you really want to just crawl upon the ground, bawl your heart out, because you're just realizing how, in a lot of ways, certain things from your past might have just set up the way how you think about things, because trauma does that, right? So trauma dictates a lot of the ways how it is that you behave in adulthood, right? And so going through all of that, for me, it's like, that's not something you put on the forefront, right? You kind of navigate through that. And don't get me wrong, because I do feel like that is something that people are supposed to, there's a part of that journey that you do have to navigate by yourself, because it gets lonely. Certain things that you might be thinking, certain things that you might want to say, there are people who might not necessarily understand that, especially the people who are closest to you. And so it forces us to kind of go through that. But then when we take ourselves away from the world, right? If we were even to come back and post, it's like we post and it's like everything all right. Nobody never ever did know. So listen, you barely made it through that season. You were holding on by, I'm saying, a thread. I'm saying? So it's very difficult, is what I am trying to say. But we keep that so locked away, and we keep it so where people only get to see the highlight reels. You only get to see when things are going amazing, things are going good. And that more authentic nature of the process and the journey is not typically seen. And it's like, how do we put that out there so that we can help another person who might be going through that? So you see them, smiling, you see them all happy. But when that camera is gone, I bear tears, my dear. You know what I'm saying? I bear heartache, I bear all these things. So how do we bring back that individuality to where we can feel okay sharing that with the world without judgment, without criticism, without all the things? And for me, I feel like the way how you do that is when everybody is able to do it. Not true? Well, that's what me think anyway. So on the topic of authenticity, right? Because I was going down into it, I talk about all the things that I'm gonna get to a point in the video where I said, oh gosh. So I had to stop. And this is part 2 of the take, but we're still gonna continue because I got super excited. I was like, oh man, when you do the things in way you love, and you feel the purpose and you feel the drive, and you just start to yap, but I mean your niceness. But yeah, so like I was saying, I've never necessarily felt this deep pressure to fit in, and I've never really wanted to fit in. I think more than anything else, it's wanting to be accepted for who I am at my most authentic state. But what I've found is that a lot of persons don't even know how to accept themselves. So for them to see someone being authentic and it's not, in alignment with what everybody else is doing or how everybody else is speaking and all the things that, are going on, they would label you as weird. They'd label you as, oh my gosh, you're just different or you're just whatever. But maybe we need that. Maybe we need the weirdness. Maybe we need somebody with us, I don't know, kind of foo-foo. Not to say it in that way, but just somebody who is just so different. I think there is just something about authenticity for me that is just so beautiful. And we can connect more with people if we were just like, yo, things not too whatever right now, and it gives people a chance to feel seen, a chance to feel heard, a chance to be like, Then all them people they can, afford to do this and the third, and me can something must wrong. No, nothing is wrong with you. Everybody is going through it. It's just that nobody wants to speak about it. But no, we have to be able to do that because we have to each one help one. Right? I would really and truly need fair help each other out throughout life, throughout seasons, throughout everything, because at the end of the day, we are literally all one. We are all one. And so much of us are going through the same type of things. We are growing, we are learning, we are unlearning, right? We are healing. And those parts of a journey are not always easy. And sometimes we need to be seen, we need to be heard, we need to do all the things. So yes, we're stepping right back into authenticity. Now, me did kind of write a little piece here and I can't remember it from the top of my head. So I am going to read it. Okay, so deal with it. All right, so maybe authenticity isn't dead. Maybe it's just buried underneath fear, comparison, and survival. The people who change the world are usually the ones who are brave enough to be themselves first. So this is my call to you guys to say, listen, it's time for us to be brave enough to be ourselves, brave enough to be different, brave enough to put ourselves out there in our most authentic state. Yeah? All right. So this has been the Ascension Unfiltered podcast. And if you've made it this far, thank you so much. It's episode number 1, but I am so happy. And thank you for being a part of it. And remember, it's Ascension Unfiltered. Unfiltered truth, unfiltered growth, and we are ascending through every season because when it's hard, we still go up. We still ascend. We're still trying to become the best version of ourselves because remember, the difficult seasons, they teach us everything we need to know. It teaches us how to be resilient. It teaches us how to grow. It's just all about perspective, right? And we're going to put that perspective in place and become better and do better. Catch you on the next episode. Thank you. I got one of the